Welcome to Bucca Mouth Outdoors. What I have here in this bag might be the greatest glide bait under $40 in the history of glide baitiness. Let's go. So as you can tell, I've already opened it because I am impatient mofo. So let me tell you about what's become one of my favorite glide baits. Say favorite, I have a lot. It's become an obsession. Like 200 glide baits. Damn! Maybe more. We won't tell my wife though. This is the Mike Bucca 6-inch Trick Shad. This Trick Shad comes in at 6 inches.
That's what she said.
They also make a 7-inch. It weighs a measly 1 5/8 ounces. You could throw that on a BFS setup.
What?
Maybe.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It'd be fun to watch anyway. Finesse that baby right into a 10-pounder's mouth, right? I bought the very first one of these like 6 months ago, and I've been nothing but impressed. Let's open this baby up and take a look.
What's your problem?
They always make these freaking hard to get into. Yeah, now we're talking. This is the matte shad colorway. They make 10 different colorways, so you can bet that there's a color for your lake. One of the first things I noticed is how well it is put together and how quality it feels for a production bait. It is just unreal that even at $40, it is just feels like it's made so well. I mean, I've got $200 and $300 glide baits I bought are super limited edition that don't feel as tight as this does. Crazy. At $40, that'll make any hardworking man feel good about himself right there.
Bet you wussies never worked a stinking day in your stinking little lives.
Just not chunking money out the door going 90 down I-5, that's for sure. One of the first things that you notice whenever you first open this is these swivels that are connected to the bait. These swivels are so important whenever you hook a big fish because it keeps them from throwing the bait when they're shaking their head around. It's just an important little thing that not a lot of guys, not a lot of bait companies put on their baits. That's super important. The next thing you notice is this tail. This tail is just so lifelike feeling. Very nice. And what even makes it even better is they give you an extra one. You have 2 in the box that comes with it. There's a second one in there, see that? And that's really important because short strikes happen. Things happen, this tail gets ripped off. Also, you can buy these separate straight from BUCCA brand, which is kind of cool. If you have a light color bait on or a translucent color bait on, you can get a darker tail. You can mix and match things. That helps you track it in the water because a lot of times whenever I get strikes on this, I see the bait. I see it happen. And that's pretty important to be able to see it. And that way you can make decisions on at like split second. I get so many strikes within 20 feet of the boat with this bait. So color and being able to see it's very important. This one in particular is the slow sink model. If you'd like it to sink a little bit faster, you can up the size of the hook. You can put weights on the bottom. There's a lot of little things you can do to adjust the fall rate. Sometimes that's important, especially if you're fishing in deeper water with it colder and you need to get it down there faster. You may have to up the hook size or something like that to help you. I personally though, I leave it alone. Deal with the painfully slow, you know, it's literally like this. Wait for it. You get the picture. One thing that I've noticed is some of my most violent strikes on this have come on the pause. Sometimes it happens on the fall when it's falling really slow and they just grab it. Sometimes it happens on, you know, your chop, and then it's like chop, and then you pause and boom. Sometimes they're just following the bait really close. They're right here behind it and you're like chop, and when you pause, they have to make a decision because if not, they're gonna run into it. It's like a 93-year-old lady out there driving in New York City. Like she's probably gonna run into you, more than likely. The good news is usually they eat it, and when they eat it, they get it all. They get all the hooks and everything. I've never had a 1 hook up. It's always been 2 hooks in this thing, and that has a lot to do with the size. But you know, you can catch 1-pound bass with this, and you can catch 10-pound bass with this. There's no limit. It's crazy how they react to it. Even if they're reacting to it and they're shy of it, it brings them out. So you could throw something else behind it. Sometimes I throw this baits and they don't react to it, I throw a bigger bait and just see what happens. And sometimes that makes it happen. It's crazy how that works. For a $40 bait, this thing should not look this good in the water. I've got baits that are 2 to 10 times the price of this bait. And it does the same job. It's nuts. I'm just kidding, Andrew, if you see that. I'm just messing with you. That bait's in a whole different category than this bait, just so we're clear. So you want to know where to get one? Everywhere. Every major tackle shop has one of these. I'd be willing to bet on it. Unless you're in the Pacific Northwest where I live, then you got to order them. Anywhere where there's bass fishing, they probably have some of these. And that's the good thing, is they're available. $40 almost everywhere. $40 is a great deal. Unless you're in Vegas, there's a lot of things that you can get for $40 in Vegas, if you know what I mean. Hookers and blow. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. Okay, I'm only kidding. That was a joke, and it was a terrible joke. Okay. All right. Never mind. So what should you throw this on? Well, there's a multitude of rods that you can throw this on. It being only 2 ounces, actually less than 2 ounces, it makes it super easy to find a rod. I choose to throw mine on a Mega Bass Destroyer. It's completely overkill, but I just have that rod, and it just happens to be my favorite swim bait rod. So that's what I do. That's really overkill, to be honest. Dobbins makes a bunch of great rods that are inexpensive. 6 Cents makes a few in the Milliken series. You know, you could use something that you just already have in the heavy range, like a longer flipping stick, you know, 7.6 to 7.11 heavy. Throw it, use it. Don't buy a dedicated rod for this. Now, if you're gonna be throwing 8 or 12 ounce baits, that's a different story. Well, what reel should you throw it on? Well, I'm Shimano till I die, just like Snoop Dogg or whoever said that back in the day. You know, you could go 300. This is a 300 Corrado K. You could go 200. I think this is the 200, a little bit bigger spool. You could even go 150 with that bait. As long as you stayed around 15 to 17 pound test, you would have enough line. I probably would do the 300 just because it holds more line. It can grow with you. You could throw other really big baits on this, and it holds a lot of line. That's the whole key, is be able to get bigger and more line on. And the drag system is just phenomenal. You know, it's Shimano. What else do you expect? You could buy a Tranx or something like that if you wanted to do really big baits. You know, if you wanted to get up in the 12 ounce range. I have one that's out in the boat. It's cold outside. I don't feel like going out there. I'd show it to you. But yeah, you could go that way, and then you would never have to worry about buying a swim bait reel again. All in all, I probably would do the 300 or the 200. That's probably your best bet. So what line should you use? This is where it gets a little interesting. I know Mike Bucca throws his on braided line. I also know that he fishes a lot of shallow fisheries, so he likes to keep his up in the water column. I personally like fluorocarbon. The reason being is I fish a little bit deeper and I like to get mine down. Braid tends to float. I prefer 15 to 17 pound fluorocarbon for this bait. Maybe 20 if there's lots of cover and docks. But there's this fine line that you have to walk. Is the action gonna be good? Don't go too heavy, but don't be too light either, because you know, you get an 8 or 10 pounder on there and you're gonna have a situation on your hands, especially around cover. Although losing a $40 bait isn't the end of the world. I lost a Hinkle shad in Clear Lake before, and believe me, I swam for 2 hours looking for it and I finally gave up. You know, it could be worse. Plan accordingly and be prepared to go swimming if you need to. One thing to remember, and I've noticed with a lot of people, is they're scared to throw bigger baits because they're scared to lose money, or they're scared to do this. The main thing you have to remember is throw these things everywhere you throw a chatterbait. Everywhere you throw a crankbait, you cannot be scared to hang it up. If you hang it up, go get it. If you can't get it, go swimming. If it's too cold to go swimming, so what? You lost 40 bucks. But at least you have a chance at a giant. There's nothing scary fishing these baits. Nothing scary about fishing these baits at all. Just remember, big fish eat big bait. Even little fish eat big bait. I've caught 8 to 10 inch bass on the same size lure. It looked crazy. I may have a picture. I'll put it in if I can find it. It's crazy what they chase and what they eat. They mainly try to kill these things. So don't be intimidated whenever you're swim bait fishing. Enjoy it. It's a fun bite. You're gonna really enjoy it. You know, the main thing is don't set yourself up for failure. Forgetting to retie, there's nothing worse than losing a fish to a broken line. My rule of thumb is I check my line every other cast and I retie every hour or so just to make sure I don't lose those baits. And lastly, go out and have fun. Dabble with other techniques. You're never gonna catch bigger fish if you don't try bigger bait. Now, that's not necessarily true. Sorry. Chances of you catching a bigger fish with bigger baits is way higher than it is with a Cinco. I promise you that. Sometimes I just take bigger baits with me, and that's the only thing I take on the boat to keep myself from throwing a finesse technique, a spinning rod. Everybody hates the spinning rod, guys. No, we don't. I actually don't hate the spinning rod, guys. I am a spinning rod guy sometimes. Big baits equal big fish. It does suck whenever you goose egg from throwing one of these all day and your shoulder's tired, but there's nothing more rewarding than Miss Gina coming out of the Toolies, just hammering this thing. And all you're doing is fighting for your dear life and trying to get a net. It is unreal feeling. I don't know if that's something that you're after, but I damn sure am. I'm not out there to catch 2-pounders. It's just not in my, they're fun if you catch them on light line and all that stuff. 2-pounders don't make my day. I'm after Gina and Gina's mama and her grandma and maybe her grandma's grandma. So do yourself a favor. Go grab one of these bad boys. You won't be sorry. Just throw it out there and watch the magic happen. It's simply amazing. I am proud of this bait and I didn't even create it. Mike Bucca, if you happen to see this, you're my homie. You are my homie. I love you, man. And don't forget, if you're too busy to fish, you're too damn busy. Have a good night.